Okay. We're back in this bitch. It feels good. It feels real good because I haven't posted a long form YouTube video on this page in a minute. And part of me is like, why? Why not? And another part of me like acknowledges that a reset was needed in a lot of ways. I think the way I was treating this YouTube was it was an outlet, right? Another means of me getting my voice out there. I make first and foremost, I make short form videos that I post on TikTok. What TikTok does is it saves them directly to my camera roll. Because they're on my camera roll, I can upload all the ones that are 3 minutes or less directly here as shorts. I know some people use YouTube Shorts, some people use TikTok, some people use both. So it's a way for me to get my voice out on both platforms, which is cool. I love doing that. The other part of YouTube is the long form content. The videos where you see here with this landscape view, and I'm just sitting here with a microphone and I'm talking. I did a few of those, and I thought every video needed to have a structure. And to a sense, like they do, right? But I was too focused on nailing a script for a long form video. That just doesn't work and it doesn't fit who I am. So what I will say right now is in this hiatus from the last post that I made, the last long form post that I made, and now I've gone through, I guess you could say, a bit of an awakening in the sense of um, presenting myself on the internet again in this long form style. It's going to be less and less about me trying to perfect something, me trying to sell a certain narrative or nail this script or edit out parts where I mess up or fumble on my words or whatever. It's going to be straight up like, I'm not going to cut shit out of this. Okay. Because this is more of a practice for me to use my voice. That's what this whole social media journey has really been for me. Before I knew it and now knowing it, it's always been about finding and utilizing my voice. And it's a crazy, crazy thing because if you know me, if you followed along in any sense, right? You follow me on TikTok, you follow me here, I talk about astrology. I think there's a lot of wisdom that can be gained from astrology. It's not an end all be all in the sense of, oh, my sun is in Taurus. That means I have to act a certain way. No, it just gives you a kind of awareness or a framework to understand how different things can influence your psyche. One big thing that remains the same, whether you look at Eastern astrology or Western astrology, is my Saturn placement. And Saturn is Father Time, right? But it's the limiter, it's the lessons. Whereas Jupiter, its opposite, is expansion and abundance. Saturn is the planet that determines cultivated lessons, the time that it takes for you to achieve something, or it's that karmic path that we go through. So people look at Saturn in a negative light because there is a shadow aspect that a lot of people take advantage of, but everything has a shadow aspect and a light aspect. Everything does. There's a duality to all of these things, and in that duality is where you see the oneness of it. It's where you can utilize both of the polarizing energies of anything and see the middle path. The middle path ultimately leads you to understand that everything is connected through that middle path. Even not through the middle path, even in its opposition, when you look at things in polarity and light and dark, they're still one and the same because one can't exist without the other. You could never know darkness if you didn't know light. You could never know light if you didn't know darkness. It's one of those things. So even if it's not the middle path, even if you're seeing them in opposition, you have to understand that one creates another. Existence always breeds non-existence. They go hand in hand. If you had existence, that would just be it. There needs to be something outside of it to quantify what existence is. You know? That's what I'm getting at there. But to make a longer story short, even though, I could go down a million rabbit holes with that, my Saturn placement is in Gemini, which means, for those of you that aren't really tuned in with astrology, what it means basically is a big lesson in this lifetime has to do with my voice. Gemini is the communicating planet. The ruler of Gemini is Mercury. Or sorry, the Gemini is the communication sign. The planet that rules Gemini is Mercury. Mercury is the messenger. Okay, so the idea with Saturn being in Gemini is, hey, you need to figure out how to share your truth authentically and not feel ashamed to share it to whoever wants to hear, whoever needs to hear, right? And use it because it's something that is going to ultimately create some sort of value for you, whether it be a value in my own life or value in other people's lives that create value for me down the line. Use it. And so that's what this has been for me. So with all that being said, I wanted to talk about something. I obviously just got thrown off on a little tangent, and I think I'm going to try to make these videos a little shorter and shorter, so they're a bit more digestible, but also so that I can have a little bit more more freedom to flow within them. I think would be the way that I'm going with this, and it allows for me to be a little bit more consistent with these. What I really want for this YouTube channel, and what I really want for these long form videos, is to be able to have them here first and foremost for myself. Before, I was making it completely directed to an audience. And because I was directing it for an audience, there was a part of me that was saying like, oh, it needs to be a certain way. I was making assumptions about the people that I thought were going to watch these videos. What needed to happen and what I'm doing now is I'm making these videos solely for myself. It's a way for me to express. It's also a way for me to document. And that's where we get to what I was getting at. I want to make this video now because I'm in the middle of a quantum shift. Now you got a couple people are going to hear that and be like, what? What does he mean by quantum shift? A couple of people are going to laugh, turn this shit off right there. Other people are going to lean in just like you do when you're when it's a close game in 2K or Madden or something like that. People are going to be interested because this is real life shit. This is real life stuff that people do. It's a quantum shift. And the best way that I can explain it or conceptualize it so people can kind of understand it better is to understand the concept of time. Because understanding the concept of time in a broader sense will make this a little bit more digestible. Because time is an illusion. Time is something that we've constructed here so that we can make sense of all these different experiences and make them into a linear fashion. But if you really, really get deep into this process of self-knowledge and, esotericism and whatever you want to call it, the idea that comes up frequently is that there's only an eternal now. Everything is happening right now, everywhere, all at once. We're just tuned in, or our consciousness, our specific point of consciousness is tuned into a specific experience. Then the next experience happens and the next experience happens in somewhat of a linear fashion, and that's how we experience time. So, to explain the way that this process kind of occurs, at least in my mind, because this is my experience, this is my perspective, and I think this perspective could open something for someone else to understand this concept. I'm here, I'm existing right now. This is a really hard concept for me to grasp. I've really tried to work with this a lot of ways. I'm going to try and just do it really slowly. I'm existing here. You can't really see it, even if I'm standing still. And I probably moved a little bit there. But standing still, I'm vibrating. Everything around me is vibrating. It's vibrating to a point where it looks stationary, but it's still vibrating. It's at a certain frequency, okay? Everything around me is existing at a certain vibrational frequency. We know this energy, frequency, vibration stuff. Nikola Tesla said it. Everybody else has said it. The ancients knew it and said it in kind of allegorical language. But now everybody's starting to remember that that is the fundamental energies of existence, which is energy. I don't know how else to say it. But each point in time, you could consider a specific frequency, okay? So me in this now moment is one frequency. The, 2 minutes from now, me talking about this process probably still is another frequency. Each moment from now to now to now, you know what I'm getting at, is a different frequency. So you're not moving through time in a linear fashion. What you're doing is you're bouncing from frequency point to point. What's happening, the way we are experiencing time, is because there's not a huge drastic change from moment to moment right now, because I'm sitting here, I'm recording this video. I'm not getting up and moving all over the place. My house isn't just gonna up and leave right now. So a lot of things presently in my experience, within my consciousness, they're not changing. So I'm experiencing time a lot differently than if something really, really drastic were to change. Okay, so let's say my frequency right now becomes another frequency that brings me into some experience that I really want to have. What determines the amount of time that that takes, partially, is how far I perceive myself to be from that experience in a frequency sense, but also in a physical sense. Whereas if I think that I'm light years away from being a millionaire, which I don't, just saying that right now, I don't. But if I did, I would view or label a certain amount of time subconsciously and consciously at times when I state it. Say, oh, in a year or in 5 years, I'll be a millionaire. No, I literally could be a millionaire next moment, tomorrow, a week from now. You know what I mean? It all just depends on your idea of it. And so this quantum shift concept is really you changing your frequency in such a drastic way that everything else around you starts to match that frequency. And that's where you feel the quantum shift. When you raise your frequency to the specific frequency that these experiences that you want to call in are at, other things need to fall apart. Other things need to be released. And right before the quantum shift is when all of those things happen. It's when the rug gets pulled out from under you, when the foundation crumbles, when shit starts to hit the fan. That's the moment right before the breakthrough, right before the shift. Why? Because you need to make energetic space. You need to make room for yourself to receive these new experiences within your vessel. If you are trying to call in a lump sum of money, you need to release certain things so you can take in that energy. So you're able to experience it within your realm of consciousness. Energy can't be created or destroyed. So when people say they're creating something, it's really, and I say this, it's not fully creation, yet it is, but it's reusing energy to repurpose it into something else. Something that gets destroyed, the energy goes somewhere, whether you're actually taking the material and repurposing it into something else, or you're completely, destroying it to the point where you can't even see it and it's a little speck. It's still there. The energy doesn't go away. It just gets repurposed in the ether, in the quintessence, in the plasma that's all around us, in spirit, whatever you want to call it, the substance that permeates us, right? The things that I can see, but also the things in between the things that I can see. They're the same thing, just vibrating at different, frequencies. So back to the quantum shift piece. I know, and it's hard to explain the kind of knowing, but I know right now I'm in the midst of the biggest quantum shift of my life. There have been times where things have happened, and a quantum shift, it doesn't always need to be like one foul, like snap your finger and a million things in your life have changed. A lot of times, because a lot of people, we wouldn't really be able to handle that because it's such a drastic thing, and in a lot of ways, we might self-sabotage or view it differently, or think we're being, think it's a bad thing even though it's a good thing. The quantum shift could happen over a longer span of time, because certain things that have made themselves so tangible in our physical reality, the things that we've conditioned ourselves to believe, the things that we've gotten so used to experiencing or seeing or dealing with, whether it be good or bad, right? Quotes on both of those need time to naturally fizzle out, to release themselves. Sometimes spirit might yank it. The divine, the universe, God, whatever it is, your guides, your angels, yourself, might yank it out of your existence because you're holding onto it too tightly. Other times it might gradually release, and you might be kind of reaching for it, like, no, I'm not ready to let go of that. But you do know that it's time to let go of it because you're welcoming something in, and that's your higher self giving you that kind of reassurance or affirmation. Quantum shift. I'm telling you right now, there is a understanding, there is a knowing, there is a feeling that comes in these moments that it's hard to fully explain. There are a lot of different things that happen, right? A big thing in quantum shifts is like, just kind of like I said, when you are, it's like a signal that you're shifting or you've shifted is when, let's say something you do every single day, it's a ritual at this point. You go to it and it's missing, or you you're trying to do something that you normally always do, and something about it is just out of place. It doesn't make sense, but you can't explain it. You're like, but I know I do this every single day. I know I didn't mess this up. I know I didn't put it in a different place. But nonetheless, it's not in the same place that I always put it, or it's completely disappeared. That's a little signal for you. That's a little nudge that you've shifted. Yet we're always shifting. The shift from second to second or moment to moment normally is pretty small, but that shifting is moving through time. The quantum shift is when a big life event happens and it completely puts you in a new energetic state, a new timeline, a new frequency, a new way of existing, because it foundationally changes your experience day in and day out, moment to moment. That's the quantum shift. The secret to understanding quantum shifting is that you're already shifting. Everything you do is a shift. So every moment that you're embodying a certain frequency, you're calling in experiences that are aligned with that frequency. They're not just magically going to come in because we live in the physical. This is the experience of time linearly, because that's how we measure and quantify these experiences. However, every time you're existing within a certain frequency, right? If I'm meditating and I'm trying to bring in a bunch of different experiences, right? And I'm vibrating to the feeling of being in those moments. I let go of the idea of what the experience is exactly, but I feel the feeling I would feel in something like that. I'm allowing myself to exist in that frequency in this now moment. And because I'm doing that, things that are associated with it, whether it be exactly the way I envisioned it or things that my higher self knows, would bring me that same feeling, because, like I said, everything's happening everywhere all at once. So there's a realm of things that match that frequency that might not be exactly the way you envisioned it. But what's happening is they're right outside your auric field. All you are doing is calling them in more. You're bringing them further into your consciousness, to the point that if you focus on it long enough, if you maintain that frequency, you maintain the vision, you trust and know that you're bringing yourself into it, or it's coming to you, because everything is coming to you. If you trust that, other things will leave. Space will be created, is what I'm trying to say. The universe will make way so that you can experience that. And it's not always going to be exactly how you look at it. And I don't know exactly what this next phase is going to look like for myself. I want to make this video now, and I've wanted to make this video for a while, to say I'm quantum shifting right now. You guys, you might watch this, or a week from now, you might see me in another country talking about, holy shit, this quantum shifting stuff is real, even though I knew it was real now, but I could show you just how it happened. And that's what I want this to be. I want this to be a testimony, so I can say, I told you before it happened. Even though I was in it, I'm in the shift, right? But I'm in the phase of a lot of things leaving, things kind of being cleared out so new energy can come in. I want to make this now so that when I'm actually in the new environment, in the new experience, experiencing the things that are associated with the frequency that I'm existing in now, I don't sound crazy, or it's not like a performative thing when I say I shifted, because I believed it and I achieved it, if that makes sense. So a week from now, who knows? Tomorrow, who knows? Could be 3 months from now. All I know is that something big is happening, not just in my life, but in everybody's lives. Everybody's lives are changing within this. I mean, it's so hard to quantify the time of it because it's happening in the now. You could look, and if you want to be safe about it, let's go 6 months from now. Just to make it, simple in terms of Like we're giving a half a year, right? Well, let's say we'll get to January and then we'll give 6 months. Start of June. Everybody's life is going to look completely different. But, and that happens all the time. 6 months change. Like, if your life isn't changing in 6 months, like, no shame, nothing like that. But maybe you're just not looking hard enough, because even minuscule things can have a really, really big effect in the long term. If you think you haven't changed in 6 months, then maybe you're just not as aware as the universe is inviting you to be. I wanted to say as you should be, but there is no should or shouldn't. It's all at your own pace, it's all at your own level. But truly, you can quantum shift. And if you're interested in it, if you're interested in understanding more of this spiritual experience, of this concept that is really just energy, right? You could have so many different names for divinity, right? You can call it God, you can call it Allah, you can call it uh, Vishnu, you can call it Brahma, you can call it I mean, I'm giving like a million different names, but like source, whatever. The name doesn't matter, it's just the energy of it. Because at a fundamental level, it's energy. And at an even more fundamental level, it's you. That's the most magical part of all this. It's you. I forget who said it. But I want to say it was Lao Tzu, maybe. Regardless, a lot of people say that you are a single drop in an ocean, right? Or you're a speck of sand on a beach, to make you realize how insignificant you can be at times in the grand scheme of things. And while that's true, two truths can exist at the same time. What you really are is the entire ocean in a single drop. You are the entire beach, or the entirety of beaches, within one single speck of sand. Everything that exists on the macro is happening on the micro. And so when you acknowledge that all that you want, all that you hope to achieve, all that you hope to experience is happening now and is also happening from within you, and you are creating this outward experience, you get a little bit more control over the experience. That's not to say that you just think of something, speak the command out, and then automatically it pops in front of you, right? We go through this to experience why we want these certain things. If you got it right away, you wouldn't really grasp the reasoning for the desire. It's always going to be the journey before the destination. But knowing that you have never been separate from anything, that's the greatest illusion of all. It helps you to find peace. And it also helps you to create the things that you want to create. Even if you don't fully know what that is yet, having the desire, a true heart-led desire to create the things that your soul came here to create, that level of allowance will allow you to bring in everything, everything that you've wanted. And having that kind of perspective, you can have gratitude for each step of the journey. I'm not exactly where I see myself being at some point, right? But I know that I'm here right now so that I can make these decisions, so that I can make this video of me being firm and standing with the fact that I'm shifting, standing in the truth that I know where I'm going, that I trust where I'm going. If I was already there, if all I had to do was think about it and be there, there would never be a test of faith. I would get there and immediately want to go somewhere else, because there was no journey. There was no thing that was making me want to achieve that more and more and more. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you know what I mean. And so with all this being said, and I know I said I was going to keep these short, but this is probably pretty long. I'm looking forward to the rest of these videos that I make. You might see a couple of me still down here in this setting, talking. And then at some point, I might just pop out and be somewhere completely different. And you can come back to this one and hear me say, I told you so. Not in a way of like, screw you, you didn't believe me, but in a way of inspiring you and saying, you can truly create the life that you want to create. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of shadow work, a lot of commitment to the healing journey. And the hard truth, the spoiler about the healing journey is that the healing's never done. The more you become aware of places to heal, the more, and heal those places, the more other areas of healing reveal themselves. It's a collective thing. And that's the biggest thing, the collective. The collective experience is ultimately uniting us as one. And this journey that I've been on, this journey that I'm continuing on, I want this YouTube page to be more so of a testimony to that experience, to that collective experience, where I can showcase things that I'm dealing with, beliefs that I have, my unique perspective to help whoever needs it, and give you whatever you need. Trust that whenever you're coming here to hear me yap, you're getting an authentic perspective that's ultimately showing people that it's safe to do that for yourself, to share your own unique perspective. There might be someone right next to you that is longing to hear how to get themselves out of a certain struggle that you've been through. That's the thing. Everybody has a unique piece of the puzzle. The problem is not enough people are ecstatic or willing or able or whatever it is. Not enough people are showcasing their unique puzzle piece. Everybody wants their puzzle piece to look like the person next to them, or look like the way that, society deems as the perfect puzzle piece. How the fuck would that work? If everybody had the same exact puzzle piece, what kind of fuck ass puzzle would that be? Sorry for my language, but what kind of puzzle would that be? You wouldn't have a puzzle because they're all the same piece. You would just stack all the pieces on top of each other, and that would look like another skyscraper that we have all over the place, right? So with all that being said, if you're here, let me know. Leave a comment. If you're excited to see where I shift next, let me know. I'm excited to see where you shift next, because you're always shifting. I'm always shifting. And there's a quantum one, or there are many quantum ones ahead for us in a lot of contexts. And I'll get into those contexts in other videos. But for now, I want to leave this here and say thank you for being here. I apologize for the hiatus in these long form videos, but it was needed. I wouldn't even call it a setback for a comeback, but a sacred pause, a time in this liminal space where I could do the kind of reflection I needed within myself so that I could really ignite this purpose and ignite my passion for creation in so many ways. I'm making videos, but I'm also making designs. I'm coming up with so much stuff behind the scenes because that's what I was here to do, create. But not just that, help other people create. Because that's truly what we came here to do. Create the things that are authentic to you. And when they're authentic to you, they're going to heal other people. They're going to help other people. They're going to inspire other people. That's the way this works, because we're all connected through the collective consciousness. So, if you've enjoyed this, please let me know. I don't really know what I'm going to title this. So I do some like clickbaity thing, like, maybe I'll just say I'm quantum shifting, because I am. And you are too, because you are. That might be the title. We'll leave it at that. But leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. You can check me out in other places. Check me out on TikTok at Trev's Truth, TrevsTruth. But just thank you for being here. Seriously. And I love you. Also seriously.